Am I going all the way in?
What? What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today we are going to be finishing off this beautiful looking muscle suit. So what I have here is a mixture of urethane, foam urethane for that matter, muscle pieces. So a few months ago I put a YouTube short up saying a new method I've found with a certain contact adhesives, but today we're using a much more improved method and one that's a surefire thing to keep these muscles on, because in the past I've had a lot of problems with muscles lifting off, especially when you sweat. Sweat can break down contact adhesives like there's no tomorrow. So as you can see, I've used a lot of contact adhesives over the years. We've got the CRC, which I used on Samurai Swarm, which is working pretty good, but it is lifting off in some areas. We also have 3M, which again, reliable, but the going theme with these contact adhesives is they don't last forever. They're not essentially waterproof. We also have the Sika Spray Fix, which is what you guys saw Benny and I used to glue down the bodysuit on that Flex Design muscle suit all those years ago. And again, like a week later, it started to lift off from the muscle suit itself, and that was fabric on fabric. This shit should be sticking to it like shit on a blanket, but it just didn't work. Now in that YouTube short, I was using Gorilla Spray Adhesive, and this is the strongest out of all of these so far. But we have a brand new method, and it's a product that I touched on in that YouTube short. We're gonna be laying the rest of these muscles down with Sikaflex 227. Now the cool thing is it's a polyurethane based car sealant. It's originally used for sealing up cars around doors and stuff like that. So the added advantage of having something that is a polyurethane base on polyurethane muscles, it's gonna bite straight onto it, especially when we have something that is porous like foam urethane. Now, you can get another product in the States called DAP. I did my research to try and find the equivalent if you are in the States or the UK, and from what I've found, there is a product which is essentially the same. You can actually get it here, but to have it imported here, it is absolutely astronomical in terms of pricing. So if you're based in Australia, the best one is Sikaflex 227. Now, you do have two options. You have it in a little squirty tube or you have it in a caulking tube. I prefer the squirty tube. For some reason, the mixture is a lot more smoother than the caulking one. The caulking one is really gluggy and it just gets quite messy. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead and started. This is actually months old and I've been waiting on other muscles to arrive. So this is a mixture of different muscle kits. We have the pecs, the abs, and we also have the lats. Now these pieces come courtesy from Bruce over at Napiers Incorporated. A lot of you guys know Bruce's work on his Batflex suits and stuff like that. He does a variety of other superheroes. I'm very picky when it comes to the aesthetic of a muscle suit. I don't want anything that's too roid rager, and these pieces here are part of Bruce's updated muscle suits that again aren't too roid rager, but are just the right amount in terms of muscle sizing. So the remaining muscles that we're gonna be gluing down today, we have pieces that are an entire deltoid, bicep, tricep. We also have a cod piece, and then a butt, hamstrings, and quad that are full wraparound pieces. So this is the full wraparound piece that you see right here. This thing is an absolute beast, and I wanted something that was one piece. Now this comes courtesy of my good friend Fernando. A lot of you guys will know him as Fett on Instagram, who does some incredible Spider-Man costumes, Deadpool costumes. I've worked with him when I've been over in LA, and he's an amazing crew. He's an absolute treat to deal with. Now the cod piece also comes from Bruce, but I have to wait until we glue down the butt, hamstring, and quad piece before I line this baby up. Now, when it comes to the deltoid, bicep, and tricep pieces, again, this is from Fett. These are my favorite pieces. I think these are the best looking in terms of aesthetics. You can get separate pieces, like you have a separate piece for the delts, you have a separate piece for the tris, and a separate piece for the bis, but I feel just having one solid piece just works a treat. So for example, I'll just show you guys just how natural it looks, especially with the delts right there. Now this is a forearm piece that's also from Bruce, so that is gonna go on like so. And again, just something nice and natural and just has a nice lean but also bulky aesthetic to it that isn't too bulky at the same time. Now I have owned these pieces in the past, and that's why I want to use them once again. Now the cool thing is about these pieces and the wraparound pieces for the legs and the butt, they have screen lineage to a Spider-Man movie. They come from the molds that were originally done by ADI, who worked on the muscle suits that were worn by Tobey Maguire. Fernando was able to acquire them, which is really cool. So that's why they're a lot more lean looking as opposed to just like Hulk-esque jacked up on roids look. So the added advantage of using Sikaflex 227 is it's not instantly drying. You have time to rearrange muscle pieces. If something doesn't quite line up, you just take it off, put it back on. Whereas when you use contact adhesive, it's so tacky. There are some times, and there have been times in the past where I've gone to put a muscle piece on and it doesn't line up properly. I've got to take it back off and it's tacked on to the undersuit. In this case, we're using a lycra undersuit, and it just gets stuck and it just becomes an absolute mess. So we do have to pin all of these muscle pieces. You have to use a shitload of pins, but trust me, it's worth it in the end, because again, you can rearrange the muscles if need be. Now, once the Sikaflex has dried and the muscles are properly adhered to the lycra suit, we've got to go around the edges. And we're actually going to be using a Gorilla brand contact adhesive. It's clear, it's waterproof. I've already gone ahead and done these pieces here, because there are times, even after using the Sikaflex 227, that an edge will catch and it will just start to peel. And that's not essentially the Sika peeling, it's actually the foam from the urethane starting to rip. So by having it sealed up there, again, it's waterproof, much like the 227. You are just sealing up these muscle pieces and they're not going to be going anywhere. The Sikaflex is waterproof. The Gorilla contact adhesive is waterproof. That also means sweat proof. Now, because the arms on my mannequin here, this comes from a 3D scan of me, and this thing is old and it is battered. I do need to put this on and have the actual pieces traced around, especially the lower portion for the butt, the hamstrings, and the quads. I gotta wait for Chloe to get home, because you can't help unless you want to help me do it. No? He looks so thrilled. All right, we'll wait for Mum to get home. Also, just an FYI, we use a silver Sharpie for marking out the pieces on the undersuit, because black undersuit. FYI. Does that look natural to you?
I mean, no.
Dog just standing there scratching his balls.
I have a carrot up my nose.
You're gonna say something else. You're right holding it like that?
Yeah, okay.
Oh shit.
What?
If I, oh fuck, sorry. If I move away like that. That's the only reason you agreed to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, that feels pretty good. Never thought I'd be in this position on camera.
That's what she said?
Here we are. Am I going all the way in?
What? Sure.
Was that a fart?
No, it's the...
Oh. I was like, you did not.
No, it's the urethane.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, now that everything's been marked out on the bodysuit, let's start with a piece that's very simple, the cod piece. But we got to prep the surface that is going to be adhered to the bodysuit. So what we're going to do is grab some isopropyl alcohol and a scour sponge, or a Brillex pad, I think that's what it's called in the States. So it's going to give it a spray. On the inside, we're going to be applying the adhesive and using the coarse side to scratch it. Now, the reason why we need to do this and why we're using isopropyl alcohol, you have to keep in mind that these pieces are made using a release agent in the molds that they're curing in. So sometimes the release agent can stay on the surface, and that can inhibit the way the actual sealer is going to stick to the urethane itself. And keep in mind, it's urethane on urethane, but if there's a release agent like a barrier, it's probably going to peel right off. So by doing this with the coarse side of the sponge, we also break down that barrier and open up the pores, especially on something as porous as this. You'll see we've taken a bit off there, but that is totally fine. If anything, that's going to be great. It's really going to bite onto that section there. Okay, we've got our Sikaflex 227 all ready to go. I'm probably going to have to go back to Bunnings and get more of this. Now, if you are using this or something similar, make sure you glove up, because this stuff stains like no tomorrow. So just going to start by putting a little bit on like so. And we're just going to be using Q-tips to spread it onto the muscle piece. You can use a disposable brush if you like, but I think you can just get away with using Q-tips. Plus, it's a lot cheaper in terms of the pricing of Q-tips compared to disposable brushes. The only thing is the Q-tips do not last long. They get pretty sludgy. Okay, let's line this up and then pop it on. So this is definitely the easiest part to do. A few other parts, you know, things have moved and shifted a bit, but that's okay. We can totally work around it. And again, like I said, you're gonna need a shitload of pins, because this is not instant drying, but that I would prefer that, because it gives you time to rejig stuff, you know, shift stuff around if it doesn't line up. So that looks pretty good. And that goes down to there. This voodoo doll, I'd be in a lot of pain right now. Okay, we're gonna prep this right shoulder, bicep, and tricep piece. I think these pieces are gonna be the most trickiest because you've got a lot of wraparounds and stuff like that, and the form on my mannequin isn't exactly as the form on me, but to use this method, I couldn't just stand there for 24 hours waiting for the Sikaflex to cure. So you see they've also got a skinning on the foam as well, so it does help that the isopropyl alcohol breaks that down and gets rid of that. You don't want to be too hard, but just go lightly, but also just make sure you create a bit of a gruff on it. So this time around, I'm opting for wooden barbecue skewers, which I usually use as my mixing sticks. And yeah, a lot better than Q-tips. So yeah, during the process, it's probably gonna get very messy when you're gluing these pieces down. Like there's just gonna be a lot of black staining everywhere, but that's okay. It's worth it in the end. Okay, this part is probably going to get extremely messy. Just gonna pop my pins down there. We're gonna start here by pinning this area, and then we're gonna work our way down, wrapping around here, and then around back to the triceps. So, oh God, it gets messy, but it's worth it. Okay, so here's where we're at. I've repeated the exact same process that I did on this side, on that side. As you can see, I really honed in and tried to make it as clean as possible. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because we're gonna be coating all of these pieces once they're all glued down. And our last step is the legs. I'm gonna be coating them all with some black plasti dip just to seal all the foam in and also just make it look aesthetically pleasing and not so dirty as you see right here. But I've had a bit of a dilemma. When it comes to the legs, I'm not gonna do the Sikaflex 227 method. We're actually gonna be utilizing a spray adhesive, the one that I use for Samurai Spawn, and then go around and seal up the edges with the Gorilla Glue clear contact adhesive. And I still have to do it to these pieces here. But if you don't mind, you wanna join me down where the legs are? Come. Oh, hi there, good to see ya. So, what I'm gonna be doing, like I said, is utilizing some spray adhesive. The same one I use for Samurai Spawn just for the legs. It's just gonna be more cost effective. You have to keep in mind that the 227 per tube is about 21 Australian dollars, and I'm probably gonna need about 4 for the legs. I do have a spare can of the CRC, again, that I used on Samurai Spawn. It seems to be one of the strongest. It holds attack. I need it just to hold on there until we go around and waterproof all the edges. Once that Gorilla contact adhesive has been applied, it's not going to go anywhere. Obviously, just need something with a little bit of bite and just gonna hold everything down. But I'm gonna have to do it all in stages. So what I'm thinking, we start with the butt, let that dry, and then work our way around, wrapping around both leg pieces until it's fully adhered to the bodysuit. Then we can seal it up, cover all the pieces in plasti dip, and call it a day. Okay, now that all the pieces have been glued down, the last two steps involve the Gorilla Clear Grip. Now we're going to be going around all the edges of the muscles. Obviously, I've done the torso area as well as the lats, but we're going to do these pieces here as well as the cod piece and the thighs. Once that is completely sealed up and dried, I'm then going to grab my matte black plasti dip. This isn't essentially sealing up the muscles, this is just to make pretty. Especially here with how rough this job was here compared to this one, but I feel like just having a nice matte black coating on all the foam pieces is just gonna look mint, and then we can call it a day. There we go, done and dusted. The interesting thing was this required about 2 to 3 good coats. Like, you really got to cake this plasti deep on. And the interesting thing was when I was applying it, I don't know if it showed up in the footage, the urethane foam started to crinkle and vein up. I thought, oh my God, I've ruined this muscle suit. And then when it starts to dry, it kind of levels back out. There are still some wrinkles in here, but that was actually how the muscles arrived. So it's set overnight, it's completely degassed and everything. After I have breakfast, I'm probably gonna degas too. It is interesting though, you see that the forearm here overlaps onto the bicep, whereas it doesn't here. So there are some instances where things don't align up, but once the muscle suit's on, it doesn't even matter and you don't even notice. And then obviously once a bodysuit is over this thing, you're not going to see it at all. But I guess the last thing to do is to try this bad boy on. Okay, so far so good. Obviously because Chloe's at work and I'm home alone and the dog can't help me. What I did, where is it? I've got a wire attached to the zip. So what I'm going to do is pop the lav mic here. You can hear the urethane rubbing. Okay. I'm squeaking. Gotcha. Okay, all right, there we go. So overall, really happy with how this has turned out. The legs are like a little bit bulky, but I think with what I'm gonna be going for, so the first cab off the rank ideally with this is gonna be Demon Superman. You guys saw I put that YouTube short up a couple of days ago of the Demon/Devil Superman glowing chest emblem. The plan is this is going to be the first one off the rank in terms of hugging this muscle suit. So I'm going to have a textured fabric, then we're going to have the glowing emblem, I'm going to have wings. I've never built wings before. Look, it is pretty good movement wise. I'm really happy. Like, I think it's one of the things where whatever you're wearing it with, it has to be a winter cosplay. Otherwise you're going to fry. And plus the fact that it's all black now, I'm just a giant heat magnet. Plus my butt looks good. As long as you can hit those classic poses, you're good. And yeah, I squeak a lot. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you got something out of this tutorial. It went a certain way in terms of how I originally thought it was gonna go. I thought we were gonna be using the Sikaflex 227 over everything. Obviously we did a 50-50, but when you're doing a big piece like wrap around legs and butt and stuff like that, it's probably best just to do a good quality contact adhesive and then go around and seal up the edges. Because once those edges are sealed, it's not gonna lift off anytime soon. It's waterproof and also sweat proof. I will leave the links down below for Fett and Napiers, and I hope you got all the names there. I've documented everything in the video in terms of the 227 and the contact adhesive I've used. But with that being said, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. Hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly. And until next time, geeks and geekettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.